Bloomberg Audio Studios.
Podcasts, radio, news.
I'm pleased to say joining us now is David Gitlin. He is chairman and CEO of Carrier, which is a world leader in heating, air conditioning, and refrigeration solutions. Great to see you here.
Great to see you, Scarlet. Romaine, thank you for having me.
So talk us through what's new in your Investor Day this year. You had an Investor Day in 2022, and it looks like a lot of the goals are similar. What's different this time around in 2025?
Well, what we said is that we did everything we said we were going to do back in 2022. We said we'd grow 50 bips a year of margin expansion. We grew 100. We said we'd grow EPS about 10% a year. We've grown our EPS 15% a year. We did what we said on our effective tax rate. We said what we would do on free cash flow equal to net income. But we did say that we would grow sales 6 to 8% a year. The last few years, we've grown 4. So the whole Investor Day we had 4 hours this morning at the NYSE was how do we get consistently 6 to 8% growth? So we introduced a growth algorithm. The market, we said, call it low single digits, be conservative. And then we had a three-pronged strategy to growth. One is outgrow the market through products, so share gains. The second was aftermarket, where we've said aftermarket will grow double digits forever for us. And the third is kind of a new frontier, is systems offerings. That combination gets us to 6 to 8% a year.
So it sounds like there's some tailwinds in your industry. Walk us through which of it is structural, which of it is cyclical.
There's a couple of unique tailwinds, for example, right now around data centers. If you think about a typical commercial office building, it may have 3 chillers. A data center may have 150. So the massive investments we're seeing in data centers plays right to our strengths. And we've just introduced a brand new, very unique offering that we call Quantum Leap, which is a combination of traditional cooling with a chiller and air handlers, but also a new liquid cooling, which is a direct-to-chip cooling. And our combination is very unique because we're the only ones in the industry integrating traditional cooling, liquid cooling, an entire building management system, server management, all into one offering.
What's been the demand for that? Because I know we've talked a lot on this program about the build out of data centers and such, but there's also been a lot of sort of promises to build things, and I know the building hasn't actually started for some of that. So what's been the uptake here, and do you expect it to increase?
We do. Last year we were about $500 million in sales for data centers. This year will be $1 billion, so 2x. We're now taking orders for 26, 27, even into 28. Mm-hmm. So the hyperscalers are growing at different paces right now, but very, very strong demand. And what we're seeing is increased demand for colos, the colocators, especially in Europe and China.
Really? Are you involved at all in some of the administration's push to help build data center projects in the Middle East and elsewhere outside of the U.S.?
100%.
Yeah.
We're very much working on new wins in the UAE that were announced recently. We have a lot going on in Saudi Arabia, so we see the Middle East as a real good growth vector for us.
You also have a lot going on in the U.S. because over the past 5 years, you've definitely grown and focused on expanding your U.S. workforce by approximately 20%.
Yes.
How much of this was in response to the changing political winds? How much of this was a strategic advantage for you specifically?
A strategic advantage. We like to be where our customers are. About 50% of our sales are in the United States. So, we've grown our workforce, as you said, 20% over 5 years. We're by far the biggest player that's headquartered in the United States in our industry. And what we announced last week was an incremental $1 billion investment in the United States over the next 5 years, which will create 4,000 additional jobs. And these are very technical jobs. It's a combination of R&D. You can think mechanical, traditional software and electrical engineering, technicians that are out in the field. And we also announced that we're going to establish a brand new manufacturing factory in the United States. We're very proudly in North Carolina, we're in Georgia, we're in Tennessee, but we're now going to build a new factory. We're looking at a location like Texas, but we haven't finalized the choice yet.
With regards to some of those hires and the technical expertise you need for these jobs, do those people come to the table with that, or do you have to train them?
It's a combination. That's part of the negotiations with the states right now, is we are looking for some support on some of the technical training, but we will train about 100,000 technicians a year, so we know how to train and then integrate them, whether it's technicians or even highly skilled manufacturing labor as well.
So when it comes to what we're seeing in the higher education landscape, this idea that the government is going to reduce funding to universities, how does that impact a company like you who is looking to increase your footprint in the U.S., hire more? Is there a direct cause and effect for a company like Carrier?
We see it as a very competitive labor environment for the kind of skills that we're looking for right now. It's when we look at technicians. We've said that we're going to add 1,000 technicians in the United States over 5 years. We try to partner with technical schools in particular, and that partnership has been very strong. But what we also have to do is establish training universities within our four walls, within Carrier. So we've seen great success, especially recently, over both manufacturing, R&D, and technical labor hiring.
So for those American companies that are struggling to bring back jobs, bring manufacturing jobs back to the U.S., how would you advise them? What would you say to them to kind of rethink what they're able to do?
You know, it is competitive. For example, we have a manufacturing site just outside of Memphis in Tennessee, and we do compete. We'll compete with Amazon. We compete with FedEx for labor. What our goal is to create an environment where people want to come and people want to stay. So people want upward mobility. People want to feel like they have a lot of upside on the compensation side, and they want to be a part of a company that matters. And one of the things that we have is our purpose statement is enhancing the lives we live and the world we share. What we do matters. We contribute. Our industry contributes to climate change, so we can be part of the solution. That matters to people, that we can create a safer planet for generations to come. There's 3.5 billion people in the world that live in the hottest parts in the world. Only 10% of those folks have air conditioning. So we have an ability to impact people's lives all over the world. And people want to come to a company and feel like they're part of something that really matters. So we've invested in our culture, we've invested in our people, we've invested in our workforce, and that's been paying off for us.
Is the growth that you're looking to do right now, is that going to be primarily organic, or are you looking for acquisitions?
It's primarily organic. You know, we're coming off the heels of integrating a $13 billion acquisition with the German acquisition that we did with Viessmann Climate Solutions. That's gone phenomenally well. The last year, the sales were a little bit lower than we anticipated, but it's a truly world-class company that's going to create value for years to come. Right now, our whole theme this morning was on organic growth, that's 6 to 8%, with a very clear strategy to drive it and a lot of confidence in the team to do it, and a very different portfolio than we had just 5 years ago.
All right, Dave, really appreciate you coming here. What's tougher, facing investors for 4 hours or facing Scarlet for the last 10 minutes?
Facing Scarlet, and you are great. Well, thank you for having me.
David Gitlin, the chairman and CEO over at Carrier.